Hey guys, Mr. Tweet here again. In this video, I'm going to go over the shifters of demand, and there's five of them that you got to remember. So the first one is taste and preferences, and that's probably your most common shifter. That taste and preferences covers a wide array of possibilities. Anytime something becomes cooler or more desirable or less cool or less desirable, or if it is good for your health, or if it's no longer considered good for your health, or if it's bad for your health, all of those types of factors would cause our demand curve to shift. Depending on whether it's an increase or decrease. Anytime something becomes more desirable, demand is going to increase to the right because we're shifting along the x-axis. Anytime it becomes less desirable, it's going to shift to the left. All right. So more desirable, shift to the right, less desirable, shift to the left. One way to kind of think of all five of these shifters, by the way, is that in general, if this increases the utility of the thing, then it's going to increase demand to the right. And if it decreases the utility, it's going to decrease the demand to the left. All right. So first shifter, taste and preferences. Second shifter, number of consumers. This is a very rare shifter. You don't see this one very much. It's probably the least common of the five shifters of demand. Number of consumers goes up, demand is going to increase to the right. Number of consumers goes down, demand is going to decrease to the left. All right. And that one's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you have to have an increase in population, increases demand, decrease in population, decreases demand. Number three, price of related goods. This one is a little bit more complicated. Basically, my advice for price of related goods is for you to think of a relationship for both substitutes and complements that you can remember that logically makes sense. So for me, when it comes to the price of related goods, when it comes for substitutes, I always go with Coke and Pepsi because I don't like either one. So if I'm going to the store, like sometimes I do AP review sessions in the spring for my students. Sometimes I'll stop and buy some soda for them before going to the AP review session. If I stop in the store to buy soda and I walk down the soda aisle, I don't really care if I get Coke or Pepsi. Whichever one is cheaper is what I'm going to go for. So that means that if the Coke is on sale, then my demand for Pepsi goes down because I'm not even going to go look for it. I'm just going to buy the Coke that's on sale. And if the price of Coke is really high, then my demand for Pepsi goes up because I'm going to ignore the Coke and go check out the Pepsi. So those are substitutes. And if you think of an example in your mind that makes a lot of sense, then it just logically, you can logically think, oh, if the price of one changes, how am I going to feel about the other? The other relationship are complements, things that are purchased and used together. And for me, I always use hot dogs and hot dog buns as my complements because I'm probably never going to buy hot dog buns unless I'm buying hot dogs or already have hot dogs. So for me, they're just things that like I never buy them separate. And if I'm buying one, I'm almost certainly buying the other. So that's so those are complements. And then again, if you have a logical, if you have a pair that makes sense to you, your own logic should explain what happens. So like, okay, hot dogs and hot dog buns. I walk into the store and the price of hot dogs is really high. What does that do to my demand for hot dog buns? Well, if the price of hot dogs is high, I'm not buying any hot dog buns because I'm not buying any hot dogs. Right? But if I walk in and the price of hot dogs is really low, then I'm probably going to be wanting to buy some hot dog buns. My demand goes up because I'm buying the hot dogs because they're on sale. I'm going to be getting the buns to go with them. So that's price of related goods. My advice is to have one really solid example of substitutes and one of complements that logically makes sense to you. For income, it all depends on whether it's a normal or inferior good. So if your income goes up, we buy more normal goods and we buy less inferior goods. So for me, what that means is when my income goes up, I'm more likely to go out to eat for sushi. So my demand for sushi increases when my income goes up. My demand for McDonald's goes down, right? Because for McDonald's, I'm only eating at McDonald's because I don't have very much money and it's not my favorite, but it's cheap, right? Or maybe even a better example for me would be Taco Bell, right? When I was in high school, I ate at Taco Bell fairly regularly. in the last 10 years, I've eaten a Taco Bell maybe 3 times in the last 10 years, because as my income has gone up, I can afford things that I think are better. So income goes up, you demand more normal goods. For me, that's sushi. You demand less inferior goods. Again, for me, that's Taco Bell. But just because I think it's inferior doesn't mean that it's inferior for you. So it would kind of depend. In a question, they would always tell you whether it's a normal good or inferior good, so you wouldn't have to guess, right? You wouldn't have to. They would tell you what to assume. And then the opposite is true. If your income goes down, right, Mr. Tweet's cutting back on the sushi because it's a normal good. I don't have as much money. I'm not buying it as much, right? But I'm probably increasing my consumption of Taco Bell if my income goes down because it's cheap and I can get a lot of food for a little bit of money. So that's income as a shifter. Our last shifter is future expectations. And it almost always, it's really future expectations of price. So that if I think something's going on sale next week, then I'm not going to want to buy it this week. So my demand goes down this week if I think the price is going down in the future. So we see this every year around October. We see the demand for televisions fall because people begin to anticipate that Black Friday is coming and that TVs are going to be on sale. So they demand them less in the weeks ahead because they know they're going to be on sale in a few weeks. So demand goes down now because the price is going down in the future. Now, if we know the price of something is going up, then that's going to cause our demand for us. That's going to cause the demand for it to go up right now. So if I know that something's going to be more expensive in the future, or if it's like limited and it's hard, it might be hard to get in the future, that's going to increase my demand right now. And I'm going to want more of that right now. All right. So those are our 5 shifters of demand: taste and preferences, number of consumers, price of related goods, income, and future expectations. And as far as like a test goes, you really should focus in on taste and preferences, price of related goods, and income. Those 3 are the most common shifters for demand. All right. So you've got an assignment. I'll see you there to give you the directions, and then I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.